Hi, and welcome to episode 4 in our series, The Structure of a JIRA Project. Today we'll be going over field configurations. In our previous episodes, we've talked about issue types, workflows, and screens. And now we're going to talk about field configurations and how they can make a play in both company-managed projects and how it works in a team-managed project. As I've said before in this web series, and I will continue to say this, issue types are the backbone of your JIRA projects. And that remains true today when looking at field configurations. First, let's take a look at a company managed project and how that field configuration works in JIRA Cloud. These steps can be used also for JIRA Server and Data Center, as they are both very similar when it comes to company managed project in cloud and how those work on those other installations. You'll see here we've got our issue types, our workflow screens, and then next up is fields or field configurations. You'll see that's going to mention here what field configuration scheme you're using and then what field configuration field is actually in use. Let's take a look here. So I've selected the field configuration that we're at, and you'll see here is that there are 5 issue types related to this field configuration. Now you can obviously make those changes once again to use a different issue type for different field configurations. You're probably saying, Brian, you said the word field configuration a lot, but I don't know what that actually is and what that actually means. And that's what I'm here to show you today. So this is going to be a little screen showing you what fields are using this field configuration. It's going to show you the field name, if it's required, what kind of renderer it uses, and if it's associated to any screens. Now, when it says associated screens, it's showing screens that it's associated with throughout your JIRA installation, not just this project alone. And as you scroll down, it's going to show you every field that can be available. And there is a lot of fields. So let's talk about how you can make those kind of updates. What I've done here is I've gone to the actual field configuration, as you'll see here. This is going to look a little bit different because now I have the name of the field, which you can search for in this little handy dandy search bar, along with the screens it's associated with, and then along with actions, which is the key thing. So today we're going to pick on the acceptance criteria field. You'll see here, one of the actions is to edit. And what that is, that allows us to edit the description of the acceptance criteria for this particular project or even for the particular issue type. And that's important because different projects may use the same field, which is best practice in JIRA to try to reuse as many of the same fields as possible, but the description may differ between each team. We can also hide the field, so the field's just not there. You can also show the field once you hide it. You can't make any other changes once you hide it. We can also make the field required. Now this is very important because certain fields could be required for certain issue types, but not required for other issue types, but still an important field to have. And this is where field configurations really shine, because you don't have to hinder everyone to fill out a certain field just because it's required for one issue type, or maybe even for one team using that project. You can give everyone the freedom to fill out that field if they need to, and the team that really needs to have it can make it required. Once again, you can select optional and it's no longer required. If a field is required, you cannot move forward without that field having information. And that's really important when you're creating a ticket. If a field is required, a user will not be able to create that ticket until that required field has that information. We'll click on screens, and this is going to show us all the screens that it's associated with, and you can also add screens to it by selecting the little check mark here. We're not going to do that today, as there's a lot of screens and we have limited time. And then the last thing is renderers. Renderers are kind of a tricky area. Usually you're going to see your renderer as a wiki style renderer, which is typically what you want, as that's going to be more of an active renderer. If a field is just showing very static, you may want to come to your field configuration and see if it's selected as default text renderer. I do implore you to explore what these actually mean with the Atlassian documentation, as I do not have enough time today to go over the intricacies of it. Now, let's take a look at these actions that we have over here when it comes to looking at the field configuration scheme. We can edit the fields. We can also use a different scheme, which is very simple. You go over here and select the new scheme that you would want. We're not going to do that today. in the edit fields. Let's take a look. And what the edit fields does is it takes you to that field configuration that we were just looking at just a few moments ago. Also from here, this is where you can associate an issue type with the field configuration. So we're going to have subtasks have a few more fields be required than the other ones. So we have subtask already selected, and then we can come through here and select whichever one we want. We'll go with default field configuration. We're going to hit add, and from there you're going to see that now subtasks are using a different field configuration than all the other issue types, as it says here, as it is default, and that's used for all unmapped issue types. So field configurations in a company managed project can help your teams get information that is important for them, but also not disturb the other teams in the project. Let's go ahead and talk about how this is done in a team managed project. It's a little bit different and a little less complicated. So we're going to go over here to issue types, which if you've been watching this series, we go to this a lot. You'll see here, we got all of our fields. I'm going to select this field here, sprint. I want sprint to be required. By selecting that, the sprint field is now required. We're not having to go through and add a whole bunch of other things into this configuration. But now, when we go to save this, it's going to make that field required. And then when a user is going to create their ticket, it will need the sprint field to be filled out. To undo that is just a simple check once again. And from there, that is how you do the field configuration in a team managed project. A little less flexibility, but it's simple and easy to get done. I want to thank you for joining me today in our series, episode 4 of the structure of a JIRA project, field configurations. I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you.